other hand. Glory.
Glory.
Look at your neighbor. Thank you all, first of all, for coming today, for taking time to listen to a little fella like me. I got a word today, though.
Amen.
I do. I got a word. I have been excited about this for days. Look at your neighbor and say, provision, power, persecution. Lord, I thank you for this day and this season. I thank you for every person that came out today. You said faith would come by hearing, and Lord, I expect it to come. Let me have words today that make us healthy, spirit, soul, and body. And I speak to the north. Everyone from the north that is supposed to be here, Lord, bring them. I speak to the south, to the east, and to the west. If they belong here, I am calling you in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. Amen. Luke 6. And verse 1, and it came to pass on the second Sabbath after the first, that he went through the cornfields, and his disciples plucked the ears of corn and did eat, rubbing them in their hands. And a certain of the Pharisees said unto him, why do ye that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath day? And Jesus answering them said, have you not read so much as this, what David did when himself was hungered, and they which were with him, how he went into the house of God, and did take and eat of the showbread, and gave also to them that were with him, which it is not lawful to eat, but for the priest alone. And he said unto him, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath also. Religion, you're about to have a fit today.
It's good. Amen.
I come out of a very, very religious background. We spent time every week telling everybody, is it working?
Speakers aren't working.
Huh?
Your speakers aren't working.
Speakers ain't working, my mic off. Hey, no speakers. I don't need them. I'll start out over it. Oh, there they are. All right. I started out very religious. We spent more time on Sunday telling people how wrong they were than telling them how right God is. And you can tell that's evident out there. If you just get a phone book and look, you'll see first church of this, second church of this, church of that. Come on. If you're out there and you're religious and you're sneaking and watching me today, you might ought to go somewhere else. We sung songs. One song that we actually sung in church was about not having TVs. It went, well, 25 years ago, God saved my soul, and He told me not to go to the picture show. Well, now they say it's all right. Bring it right in your home. Sit it right down in the living room floor and let the children look on. And then we'd sing, well, no matter how high you jump and shout, well, you can't have God till you throw the show out. No matter how loud You preach and pray. You can't have Jesus in your soul till you throw the television away. Come on. It had about 15 verses. It had one. David went on a house for a woman to see. You can see her too on a television screen. Yeah, we sung that. That was our praise and worship. It said David took a man's life so he could have his wife, and if you keep looking, next thing you know, you'll be married twice. See, Jesus in this story, it says on the Sabbath day he was passing through. The disciples were following him. And there's a key in this. The greatest and most important thing you can do in life each and every day is find out where Jesus is going and get in behind him and follow him.
Amen. Yes.
He's leading them through, and it says he went into a cornfield. I know a lot about that too. My dad farmed growing up, and I hated every single moment of it. Yeah, I don't know how, the way he farmed. He would plant corn, and then he would plant beans with the corn to grow up the corn. You get mad if you didn't plant them so far apart and you didn't put two beans in with the one corn because he wanted them beans to come up. And I don't know if you've ever walked through a cornfield, but there's things in there called pack sattlers, what he called them. It's a little bitty worm. You ever touch one, you'll know it. I hated that. I was lazy and didn't want to work, and I didn't want to be out there. The only time I ever liked farming was once everything come up, whatever beans I picked, he'd take me to Dry Fork Market and would sell them. Now come on, follow me. I know y'all expecting some big funny thing out of that, because I'm usually funny, but that got me looking at this. I got to remembering Daddy and them. They're walking through a cornfield and the disciples are hungry.
Yep.
We need hunger again in the church. If we lack anything, it's an old-time, old-fashioned hunger for an absolute move of God that man can't get no credit for, that a church can't get no... That's what's been wrong with the last few revivals that stood up, is we honored and looked at men like they was something big and they had something great, and we missed the fact that a great God had came into the building. Now, religion's different. Religion likes to put all of the focus on what I did, how good I am, how much I did it, how strong I am, and ain't nobody else doing it better than me. For a long time there in religion, I actually wore and thought I had to do it a white shirt, black pants, black suspenders. Oh, and I felt big about that. I thought I was something. And there's some of you out there today, I saw you been watching this Facebook. The tradition of men makes God's word of no effect.
Yes. Yes.
Jesus is walking and they are following him, and he takes a turn and leads them through a cornfield. They hungry. They pull off some ears of corn, and I saw in that hunger is a need, and if you have a need, and if you get in behind Jesus and follow Him, He will walk you to the place to where your need is met, your hunger is satisfied. In other words, your provision is always the direction that God is walking.
Yes. That's good. That's good.
They pull that corn off, but the bad thing about it is the Pharisees was also following. Everybody that follows us and follows you has not got your best interest at heart.
That's it.
Come on, that was good. That went over a bunch of your heads. But everybody that follows us is not going to be there for the intention of seeing a move of God, seeing the demonstrations of power. They're going to follow us faithful. They're going to walk the same steps we walk, the same path we walk, and their intentions are, we're going to watch you till you do something wrong.
That's it. Amen.
We used to have to literally find out. We can go to these churches. Do the women wear their hair up in a bun? Or do they wear it straight? Do they let them wear hair bows there? I'm not kidding you. It wasn't just that women couldn't cut their hair and had to have long hair, and they taught that strong. It was literally, we need to find out before we go there, do they got to have it up? Does it got to be long? Can they wear a hair bow? And you never seen a more mean and prideful people.
Bless you, Jesus.
Everybody following ain't there to do good.
That's right. Amen.
The disciples are taking that corn down, and it says they're rubbing it, but let me read that for you. They are shucking and shelling the corn. Pharisees following along with them. Looked at Jesus, and if you go back and really look at that story, Jesus on the Sabbath day leads them through the corn. The disciples are shucking and shelling the corn and eating it, and the Pharisees approach Him. Jesus wasn't shucking no corn. Sometimes, and I think right now, this is the foundation and the leadership of this church, and you don't know it. Most of you are expecting more to come in that'll do that, but this is the foundation, and a lot of times, leadership gets blamed for what those following them do. They approach Jesus. The disciples are shucking and shelling that corn and eating. And they approach Him and say, Lord, don't you see they're doing on the Sabbath that which is not lawful? I can feel the religion right now on Facebook getting mad. Well, let me tell you. You preach that these ladies are Jezebels because they cut their hair and because they wear makeup. You say that one time about my little mommy to my face. You tell me, Paul said in that chapter, and you all leave it out every time where they talk about hair. Paul said he feels like that it's better that a man have short hair and a woman have long hair. The last verse in that chapter, though, says, we have no such custom.
Amen.
Why do you leave that out? Because you're full of pride and full of dead men's bones. I started learning that them people wasn't right. And no, y'all out there, I am not preaching about Clyde and Ruth Kilburn and the Pentecostal Workers Church. They taught me more than anybody on this planet. But all of their fellowship, yeah, I'm preaching to every one of their fellowship. I want religion to know it's not going to come in here.
Amen. Amen.
And they're not going to follow us around watching. I can tell you, if you follow me, I am doing wrong. I am messing up. I need mercy and I need grace. But His grace is sufficient. Jesus on the Sabbath turns and enters through the corn, and the disciples that are following Him, they start pulling the corn off and shucking and shelling the corn, and the Pharisees question Him. And a certain of the Pharisees said unto them, Why do ye that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath day? What was going on there? On the disciples' end, all it was they had a need, and that need had just got supplied. The only thing they could tell you was they was hungry, and now they're eating.
Yeah.
Is that not true?
Yes.
But the Pharisees, only thing they could tell you, they shucking corn on the Sabbath. That wasn't a lie either. It's all where you're standing at and how you see things. And just because you see it that way, that don't mean your perspective is right.
That's right. That's right.
Both were right. They were shucking corn on the Sabbath, but all they was doing was trying to get something to eat.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Why do you that which is... He went from a certain of the Pharisees said unto them, Why do ye that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath? And there's a picture here that we'll miss. It was the disciples that was shucking, shelling corn. But when the accuser of the brethren came, when questions came about what they was doing, not one time did you hear Peter. And Peter was bold. You get Peter mad, he take his sword out, try to cut your head off and get your ear. Now, he wasn't that skilled a swordsman to where he purposefully sliced that guy's ear off. Now, let me teach him a lesson. No, Peter grabbed both hands and drew back, had his eyes closed, tried to take his head off, cut his ear off, and Jesus had to put the man's ear, Malchia's ear back. Now, I know none of you all ain't messed up that bad in church. The religious crowd is questioning the church. Where? What's going on? At the moment the church received their provision. Everybody ain't going to celebrate when we get rich.
Wow.
Come on. What's happening? They're hungry, and He led them in a cornfield, and they're getting their needs met. And right when that move of God is happening, that provision is came, the religious world stands up and says, Why is your people shucking corn on the Sabbath?
Yeah.
You're going to have to be tough if you're going to hang around here, because we are going to be well provided for.
Amen.
Oh, I say it, it's coming. Needs is going to be met. We're not only going to have enough, but we're going to have plenty more to put in store. but everybody ain't gonna like it. Y'all gonna have to get tough. The only reason I say that, there's some of you right now, if you read your friend's post on Facebook that's negative, you go through conniptions thinking, that's about me. Did I tell her about that? I think I did at lunch the other day. Now that's me. That's me she's talking about. Come on, that's the generation we live in. And on the other end of it, if you post a picture of your puppy on there and somebody likes it, you feel like you did something big that day. Come on. Some of your phones has got these big loud, mine does. If that phone rings, it's a big loud buzzer. It sounds like that NATO has just warned us that nuclear attack's coming. Like whoever that dude was in Hawaii and sent out that false one. Your phones have them same buzzers, them same lights. And you wake up and the first thing you got to do is... Now the buzzer didn't go off and the lights wasn't blinking, but you can't get up without looking at that phone and seeing, did somebody message me? Did somebody text me? Have they sent me anything?
Help us, Lord.
Come on, this is how you preach to this generation.
Thank you.
See, them folks that preached against TV, even though they were wrong, it's just like this story. They're shucking and shelling corn on the Sabbath. We're just eating. We're hungry. One thing you got to realize, it was not a sin to eat on the Sabbath. See, them old timers picked up that there's a lot of wrong and perversion on TV.
Yes. Yes.
And now we live in an internet age. Both sides are telling the truth.
Yes. Yeah.
My theory on it is, though, and to the old timers on the TV, if you can't sit and watch what you're supposed to anyway, you got a problem.
That's right. That's right.
No, I'm still a dinosaur. I like old leather notebooks. A buddy of mine at Walmart handmade this for me. And it's so special to me.
Amen.
Yes.
Well, I can't even say what it was, but I was doing a biblical search on the internet one day. My internet was slow. I was trying to find something that I didn't know where it was at, didn't know much about. And I typed in this phrase, and it was stuff about end-time prophecy and the mark of the beast. Don't ever put beast in your computer and hit search. No, I put it in there and I went up to get me a sandwich and made my sandwich and got my drink and come back in there and it was the awfulest, most defiling stuff on my computer. I didn't want to just turn it off. I wanted to pick it up and run out the holler and say it to everybody, this ain't mine. They planted this in my house. Yeah, bad. But the accusation when provision comes is what you are doing with your provision is not the right thing.
Bless you, Lord.
Come on, hundredfold return comes with persecutions.
Yes.
I'm expecting you all to get some hundredfold return.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Lord, why are they doing that? But the key to it, if you are following Him and He leads you through the cornfield and you find your provision showed up on the path that you was walking with Him, when those voices rise up, what did Peter, the swordsman, do? Nothing. What John, the one that Jesus loved, do? Nothing. Church, we're going to have to be, if we are going to manifest what God wants us to have, and if we are going to do and get the provision He so longs to get to us, we're going to have to be tough enough when it comes that anything anybody says, I just don't say a word and keep following Jesus. I keep chucking and shelling my corn, and I keep partaking of my provision, but as they talk about me, I don't have time to respond. I'm eating my corn. Hey! Glory to God. Eat your corn and hush. Yeah. Eat your corn and shut up. See, there's a balance to provision. The love of money is the root of all evil.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
That's what it says. If that's what it says, it's kind of confusing to new believers that hear older believers that are believing for wealth so they can money, so they can do some things. If the love of money is the root of all evil, why wouldn't you treat it like I wanted to my computer?
Yes. That's right.
Now take it down far from your house and put it where they'll think it's Brother So-and-so's computer, not Todd's. Yeah. What is love? It's a relationship.
Yes, it is. Amen.
All that verse is talking about the love of money is relationship.
Yeah.
Having a wrong relationship with money
That's right.
is the root of all evil. Not one evil, not two evil, not 10 evil. Loving money is the root of every problem we have. See, the Bible tells us to owe no man anything but to love him. That means you start off, the moment you're born again, you're in debt. It's a debt you'll never get rid of, you'll never get paid off. All you can do is every time you face a situation is keep it current. And how do you pay that debt? You love.
That's right. Amen.
Owe no man anything but to love them. You are indebted to love anybody, no matter what they say about you, what they think about you, what they preach about you, how they do it about you. You are in debt to love them.
Yes.
But church, we get it backwards. The whole earth today loves money, and they richly enjoy people. And the Bible tells you, now I'm not preaching against having things. I've got boats, I've got cars, I've got houses, I believe in things. But the balance to it is I don't love those things. I richly enjoy it.
Yes.
We get it backwards. We love things and enjoy people.
Yes.
Love things and enjoy people. That's what happens in the church, is we take a truth and we get it so distorted and so turned around. If there's not love in what you're saying and preaching, you're not preaching Jesus. If you're preaching a man's faults, you always need to show him there's a loving God and power to get you out of this situation.
Yeah.
Why are they eating this corn? It's not lawful. And here, they're quiet, and here Jesus, if we learn to be quiet, He hears when they talk about us. But if your sister or brother is sassy mouth, that they're not going to, and I've had problems with that. I can tell you a good way to figure out if one of your kids is called to preach. They always get in trouble because of their mouth. Now, you might have other kids skinning cats and setting the yard on fire and stealing, but if you've got that one that no matter what, that child can't hush, won't shut up, won't be quiet, you might ought to realize that that's a mouthpiece and it's not anointed yet and it don't have any word yet, but it's going to preach to you about Tonka trucks and Batman dolls and whatever you're talking about, it's going to have something to say about what you're talking about. See, people try to get too deep. I'm telling you, that's the number one way.
Yes.
To see if your child is called to be a mouthpiece for God. If every bad report they get from school is he speaks up too much, he's always talking, he's talking to the other kids, you're looking at that like, my kid's a hellion and I can't do nothing with him. No! You should be dancing. That kid is called into the ministry. Don't get so deep you get stuck. Just look at it.
Look at it.
There's 12 powerfully called mouths there that day.
Yes.
They're the ones that wrote this book. But they're not there yet. They're quiet. And when they get attacked, Jesus notices that. There ain't nobody accusing him of shucking, shelling, and eating corn. But when they asked the question, Jesus answered them and said, "Have you not read?" That's the greatest thing that you can say to any religious person that is doing damage. It's quite obvious if they believe that stuff, they've not read.
Yes.
We argued over the hairball. I remember one time I drove to a revival meeting. I'm seeing how much I can tell of this. Because this wasn't Clyde and Ruth. And listen, Clyde and Ruth strict holiness. I love them like brother had. Clyde lived a holiness life. You couldn't make him wear short sleeves. You couldn't make Ruth cut her hair. But his number one thing he told me, if you offend them, you can't ever win them.
That's right. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So I'm not knocking people that live that way.
That's right.
There's a balance to everything. I pull into this church and I haven't had many meetings and I'm excited. And one of my hero holiness preachers, Jackie Parkinson, is speaking in that meeting with me. He was awesome. Had so much power. And the first time I seen him, he come in with a banjo. And I thought, well, he's going to do bluegrass. And Jackie gets that banjo, and it sounds like Kiss or Van Halen or AC/DC when he starts playing that banjo. He'd sing Amazing Grace and make you want to run around the building. Me and two other fellas that's watching this. See, when you start out preaching, you don't have no word. So you listen to preachers, hoping they'll say something good so you can go preach it. I don't say that's wrong. That's what you have to do when you start out. First time I ever preached, I had pages of notes, and it took me about 37 seconds to preach all 7 pages of those notes. Well, me and my buddies decided we were Jackie. I mean, he moved a crowd. I followed him around. We're going to copy his message. I got my pen and my notebook, and I had a cassette tape of Jackie. I'm going to write down, I'm going to preach his message just like he did. Pastor Daniel Ray could preach a Rod Parsley message word for word. Make me so mad, but nothing left. Yeah, I'd have to get up before him, because if there was one phrase of Rod's that I was going to use, if Daniel Ray got up, he would cough when Rod Parsley coughed. Yeah.
Oh, mercy.
We're going to copy Jackie. The circle I walk, I got that from Jackie Parkinson. He did the same thing, and it just got on me. Well, Jackie preached that night a message titled, Moses, Mommy, and Daddy Wasn't Afraid. Oh, and it moved us. We cried, we laughed, we leaped, we run. Jackie got oil, and he anointed people nasty. He'd just pour it and just daub it all over you. And we was excited. I'm going to learn that Jackie Parkinson message, and I'm going to preach it. I'm going to walk a circle like he did. I'm going to get people's clothes messed up with anointing oil just like Jackie. And I bet the man said 340 times, Moses, Mommy, and Daddy wasn't afraid, and then he'd run around the stage. I kept waiting for something to write down, and I realized for 30 minutes Jackie didn't do anything but say, Moses, Mommy, and Daddy wasn't afraid. Well, I got that wrote down. And I called my buddies. I said, have you listened to that tape of Jackie? I said, I tried to take notes on it. He don't say anything. And they said, go listen to one rainbow and a promise. And I remembered that message. Same thing. And God give us a rainbow and a promise. And then run around the pulpit. Now, I'm not knocking him. Heavily anointed. I can't copy that. 7 pages, I preach that in 30 seconds. I need some help. Now, I'm not telling you not to copy. You better copy when you start out. Or you preach some dumb things like I did. Yeah. Jesus looks at them, though, and says, have you not read? I don't know if you get that. These are Pharisees. They pride themselves in how much they read the Word.
Yes.
We're the Pharisees. We know the Bible. And the first thing out of his mouth, you out, let me redneck it, you ain't even read your Bible.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
I like redneck and stuff. They're eating corn and the Pharisees question it, and he says, you not even read the Word. Have you not read so much as what David did? I picture him pausing right there and them thinking of all the things that David did. Go look at these mighty men. Go look at these powerhouses. David, as a little boy, could take a slingshot and take out a giant that had all of Israel in fear. But if you look at his life, he was full of lust. He was lazy. He didn't go to war when he was supposed to. But God stayed right with him.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes.
Now, come on, y'all don't lie. Yes, he was a pervert, but when he danced, demons would leave the room.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
That we need to let people know it's okay to have problems. We still want you here. We need you here. We need it.
Yes. Amen.
And I read what David did, and then he goes on to explain to them that David came back from battle and entered into the temple, and him and his men was hungry, and they got the showbread. That showbread was holy. It was designed that only priests' hands and lips could touch it.
Yes.
David was king, and he didn't let anything stop him.
Yes. Yeah.
Come on, that's like Jesus is king, not of paupers. He's king, not of court jesters. He's king, not of servants. He is the King of kings and the Lord of lords. When you figure out that God considers you a king, no matter how bad you mess up, you can get up and say, Lord, I did it again. Oh, there's how Jesus is going, and you follow him.
Yes. Amen.
David goes in there and gets that holy priest bread, and the priest eventually agrees to let David and his men eat it. David was going to eat it anyway.
Yeah.
Was it wrong for David to eat that bread? Yes. Yeah, it was. But his people was hungry.
Yeah.
You got to figure out, God's more interested in the needs of the people than we ever realize.
Amen. That's right.
Thank you, Lord.
Come on.
Thank you, Lord.
We can see what they're doing wrong and what they're struggling at and what they're having issues with and think, well, they're doing wrong, when God is sitting up there thinking they're hungry.
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah.
Let's get them food.
That's it. That's it.
And then it says, I didn't read this. Now we're getting to the good part. Jesus explained it. How he went into the house of God and did take and eat of the showbread, and gave also to them that were with him, which it is not lawful to eat, but for the priest alone. Jesus is admitting, ain't you read about David? He not only got the showbread, which wasn't legal to eat, but he passed it out among his men, which wasn't legal to eat. And then he says this, and he said unto them, that the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath also.
Yes, he is. Thank you, Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he is.
They followed him. Everybody following him wasn't on board Team Jesus.
Yeah.
They didn't have Jesus Christ Evangelistic Association stickers on their bumpers. But they followed him.
Yeah.
They're hungry, they shuck and shell the corn, they eat. Persecution comes because Jesus led them to provision. He defends them. I can't wait to get into this part. And it came to pass, verse 6, also on another Sabbath, he entered into the synagogue and taught. And there was a man whose right hand was withered, and the scribes and Pharisees watched him whether he would heal on the Sabbath day, that they might find an accusation against him. He knew their thoughts, and said to the man which had the withered hand, rise up, stand forth in the midst. He rose and stood forth. And then Jesus said to them, to the religious crowd, I will ask you one thing. Is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or do evil, to save a life or destroy a life? And looking round about upon them, he said unto them, the man, stretch forth thy hand. And he did so, and his hand was restored whole as the other. it says there something important. And on another Sabbath. Now Jesus had just took His church to a place of provision to meet their needs. He had followers, the Pharisees, persecute them. He answered them and told them the word about people's hunger is more important than laws.
That's right.
And then He let some time pass. I think that's where we miss it. Somebody do us that way today. Next Thursday, we're going to be talking about it. No, you just be wrong. I know he's trying, bless his heart, and he comes to church, but he just hurt me. He quit. I was standing right there with Jesus, and I was shucking that corn, and he questioned me like I was a sinner. We still talking about it, didn't we? Jesus told him the word. Walked away, and it says, on another Sabbath day, He entered into their temple. Whose temple was it? It was the Pharisees. He let some time pass, and if you mess with His church, He gonna come to your church.
Amen.
If His church is smart enough to hush, just enjoy the provision.
Yes, amen.
Just stand there and have corn piled all around you, shucks laying everywhere. They're talking about me, but I ain't hungry no more.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
He goes into the temple, and the Pharisees, it says they are looking to see, can they accuse Him of anything? There are people that's going to follow you that their only reason for following you is saying, let's see if we can find something that we can accuse Him of.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I got news for you. If it wasn't for the blood, you'd find a lot about me.
Yes.
And that's true of every single one of you. But the church has made it taboo for anybody to stand up. We think because you get up on this stage, you got to be holy. I am holy, but it's because I am dripping with the blood of the slain Lamb of God.
Hallelujah.
He goes in there and they're watching to see. And they realize that man over there, he's got a withered hand. Jesus tends to heal the sick.
Yes, He does. Amen.
They're not going to like your provision when it comes. But eat all the corn around you. Give all the corn you got left over to your neighbors. And plant more of it and grow another field. And give more of it away and keep eating it. And don't listen to a word they say. And realize the battle is the Lord's. It's not mine. Satan goes about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. He's not a lion. He acts like one.
There you go. Amen.
That's right.
Roars.
Not a noise.
It says specifically, this word's going to get real good. This man's right hand was withered. What does that represent? Right hand is power.
Yes.
Most people, that right hand is the most powerful hand. Jesus went into church, and the church crowd, all they were thinking about is He tends to do things wrong on the Sabbath day. I bet if we watch Him, He'll do something wrong on the Sabbath day again. And they're not realizing that there's a hurting man in there that don't have the power and ability that everybody else has.
Yes. Bless Him.
There's people going to come here that has no power. That right hand also means he can't reach what I can.
Yeah.
I can reach up here and get this notebook. A man with a withered hand, he's got to come all the way up here. And see, it's easy for me to reach things, but there's going to be people around us that cannot reach what's easy for us to reach. So don't you think because we're doing it that we're something special.
Amen.
That's it.
Amen.
Just because they can't reach what I'm reaching, that don't mean I'm any better than them. It means I need to notice that they're struggling with power and they're struggling with reach.
Yes. Yes.
He has to come up like this. Takes a lot of effort. To get the notebook, he'd have to lean over.
Yes.
He can't do what normal people does. We want that kind of people in here. The ones that don't have the strength and ain't strong. I want the weak ones in my church.
Amen.
That's right. Amen. Thank you, Lord.
Think if you had an arm wrestling match with him, it'd be hard to beat him? Be easy. You think if you didn't want him to read this book, all you got to do is put it up somewhere and he can't get it. That's the kind of people I want, though. I want those that no matter what they did their whole life, they've struggled to find power. They've looked for it in drugs. They've looked for it in men and women. They've looked for it in a bottle. They're seeking power that they can't get.
Amen.
Amen.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
And they're looking at the whole world around them and thinking, it ain't fair. He easily reaches his goals and accomplishes what he sets out to do. But no matter how I jump or how I try, I can't reach what they can. There's people that don't come to church today because they think they can't reach what we do. And that's the tragedy of religion. You preach so much about that stupid stuff that you make people feel like they can't reach God.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Amen.
That's the truth. Thank you, Lord.
The religious crowd don't even notice.
Jesus. Yes.
God help them.
He can't.
Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
I can grasp this. He can't grasp it like I do.
Right.
Come on. Oh, that's big, church. That's big. There are people out there that can't grasp things the same way you do. They can't get a hold of truth as quick as you can.
Yes.
Yes.
They can't hold on to stuff like you can. They're touching it one minute and they have to let go the next. That's a picture of a hurting world. They reach for God, but they can't hold on to Him long, and they're right back in what they used to do.
Yes. Thank you, Lord. Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
That's who we're going to win.
Yes.
We're going to
Thank you.
notice.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, God.
Pharisees don't even see that. All they're thinking about is, can I get the one that does the miracles something on him? Let me see. And no, don't think everybody's going to like it when you get a touch of the miracle working power of God in your life.
Yes. That's right.
God moves on me sometimes to blow on people. I found it in the Word where Jesus breathed on the disciples
Yes.
and the Spirit fell on them, and I was literally trying to find every way Jesus healed so I could imitate it.
Yes.
I mean, if I saw one to where he stood on his head and clapped his feet, I had my buddy shoving my feet up against the wall, me on my head trying to clap my feet. And I had miracles right out of the gate. Signs and wonders and power. And I turn around to older church people thinking they're going to help me through this. They're going to be excited for me. And they all standing there. Lips pooched out. Now, I've explained to you we was holding those folks that did not have TVs. We sung about it. But they started telling me that I was imitating a TV preacher. I didn't have no TV. I found where Jesus breathed on people, and I was doing everything in my power to try and be like Jesus. And I had the holiness crowd that don't have TVs everywhere I went. Every revival, every church, it was the same thing. He's imitating Benny Hinn. My point. I heard it so much, and I mean not once. I heard that 30 times, 40. My buddies that traveled with me can tell you. And I'm seeing bones go back in people's hands, and cripples walk, and deaf ears unstop. And every time there's a miracle, he's imitating Benny Hinn. And I thought, I'm going to go get my mom to look this preacher up, but I got real confused. I couldn't remember his name, and I thought this. I said, Mom, can you record me a TV preacher? She said, yeah, well, who? I said, Benny Rooster. She said, what? I said, I don't know who he is, but everybody's accusing me of imitating him. And he's Benny Chicken, Benny Rooster, something like that. See if you can't find a video of him. Because I was the little fellow that was honest. When I threw my TV away, I really threw it away. But you holiness folks, hid them in the closet, put them in the shed. I know some of you that had DVD collections and TVs out in the shed, but you'd stand in that stage and preach people into hell over watching TV. You go to your neighbors every evening and watch the news. And there's a bunch of you evidently watching Benny Hinn. Now come on, this is my stage now. I can deal with religion the way I've always dreamed. You are empty sepulchres full of dead men's bones. Well, Mom got me my Benny Chicken video, and come to find out, this man not only blowed on people, but he'd take his coat off and swing it at them and knock them down. So you know what I did the next holiness meeting I was in? I took the miracle coat off, and I got people healed swinging my coat at them. If you want miracle working power, it's not going to be an easy road. I have been through a lot. It hurt as a kid for them pastors to talk bad about me, but I was still excited so much I would not give up. I would not cave in. I would not quit.
Amen. Yes.
They caused me to start imitating Benny. Yeah. Oh, I ain't did it much here because you all pretty strong in the Word. But these churches I visit out here, I have some pretty unusual prayer lines. Yeah. I ain't listened to that. I've got worse at it. I took a loaf of bread and a block of cheese into a church because God told me to. And we need to get back to this, to where we hear God.
Amen.
Revival's some strange things.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to be bold, you got to be brave, but the biggest thing is you've got to know your Father's voice.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You better, if you take your coat off and swing it at a crowd, you better be sure God told you that, and you better not be imitating Benny Chicken.
Yes. Yes.
Got that with me all day in the meat room. Get a loaf of bread, a block of cheese, take it to this church, hold it in there and run the aisles. At you, God. But see, if you spent time with somebody.
Yes.
See, we live in a day now, everything's caller ID, if my phone rings, I can go look at it and see if it's you and I want to talk to you. I ain't answering that. There was a day you either had to answer it or ignore it.
Yeah.
But if you knew somebody, when they said hello, like Lynn, Lynn said hello, I'm going to know it's Lynn. I spent time with her. The reason you don't know that God is speaking to you is you ain't spent enough time with Him to learn His voice.
Yeah. Amen.
I knew it was His voice telling me to take a block of cheese and a loaf of bread and run the aisles.
Amen.
I didn't want it to be His voice. I wanted to go in and blow on people and watch cancer fall off, but when my shift ended, I said, hey. See, I'd rather fail trying.
Yes.
I don't want to die wondering, did I try? I don't want to die. I want to be the person that dies knowing, well, I tried.
Amen.
Yes.
On my way out of IGA, I got me a 5-pound block of cheese and a loaf of light bread. Late getting to the service, held my bread in there, my cheese in there, and I took off down the aisle and went around the corner and all the way around that row of seats, and I looked, and the whole daggone church, I've got 70 people behind me running around that building. They had just got done preaching about David bringing cheese and bread down to the battle, and I bust through the door with a 5-pound loaf of cheese and a loaf of bread, and revival broke out.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Praise God.
So we ain't always going to be calm around here.
That's right. Bless him.
This man, no matter how hard he tries, he can't reach what everybody else is reaching.
Yeah.
Come on, folks. Our city's full of
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
They're trying.
Yes.
They don't want to steal from the neighbors. They don't want to pawn their stuff. They're reaching, but they can't reach it. He don't have the power. It seems like everybody else is stronger than me. Weakness. And you can't grasp what normal people grasp. And the church is watching. In church, I want each and every one of you to get to the place to where if they are watching, if you are going to heal the sick or not, I want that answer to be yes, absolutely. We are going to heal the sick today, cast out devils today, set the captives free today.
Yes. Amen. Thank you, Lord.
Yes.
We got to have that reputation.
Amen.
Yes.
This bunch heals on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Praise God.
Amen. Praise the Lord.
Whether he would heal on the Sabbath day, that they might find an accusation against him. He knew their thoughts and said to the man which had the withered hand, rise up. First thing we need to teach them to do is how to stand up.
That's right. Understand.
Yeah.
They're in a low place. They've been in a low place a long time. They felt like they were lower than everybody else for a long time. They felt like the weakest person in the room for a very long time. And we need to be the people that tells them, rise up right in the middle of everybody. Everybody that had more power than you, more reach than you, more grasp than you, stand up.
Yes. Amen.
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 rise up and stand forth in the midst. He didn't tell him to stand up over there in the corner where he was sitting at. He said, stand up and come out here right in the middle of everybody. We need to be proud when weak ones show up in our church and not make the preacher and the board and the deacons look so big.
Yes.
That's
Amen.
right.
Amen.
That's right.
You know when they tried to bring that Ark of the Covenant back? And that fellow touched it and got killed, what they did? It says they put it on a new cart. What was a new cart? Boards and big wheels. I'm not preaching against my board, that's for sure. But what is a cart? It's 2 big wheels and a bunch of boards. You can't bring the power of God in with big shots and boards that shut the power of God off.
Amen.
That's right.
Amen. That's right. Amen.
Stand up, stand in the midst.
Yes.
Gosh, this is a good church.
Thank you, Lord.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Then Jesus unto them said, I will ask you one thing. In other words, he's saying, I understand your religious thoughts. You think he ain't as good as everybody else. And you think what I'm about to do in supporting and helping him is causing you, it's causing me to look like a sinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you to know Jesus smelled the sinners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
He was there with them.
Yes, he was.
They had a party and run out of wine. He made them more wine.
Yeah.
Nah, I've heard that he didn't make them Welch's grape juice. It would have said Welch's grape juice if that's what he did. Now, Brother Todd, are you telling us that we can drink? No. I'm not saying that. I know I can't. I'm not a good drinker. Bible says, be not drunk with wine where is excess.
That's right.
These things happen if I drink. I end up naked. And it might be something perverted, and I might just be that hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bunch of my buddies, we got some liquor one time, and
Oh, Lord.
we owned the holler and could go to the end of the holler, and nobody didn't have no business up in there. It was ours, and we was drinking, and we had this doctor that every year would get a few of us meat cutters to cut up a goat for some kind of, I don't know, Hindu, some kind of ceremony. I don't know, child's birthday. He wanted a goat cut up every year. Well, we got to drinking and got to thinking about the goat. You ever eat goat? Let me ask you all, how many of y'all's ever eat goat? We thought, well, these 2 or 3 of us here are meat cutters. Let's go steal a goat. Yeah. Of this feller had a whole heel full of them. He wouldn't miss one. Then we hit on the big idea of, hey, and now we're drunk. Patty Mark throws their donuts every night out in the back. Let's go out there, and sure enough, we went out there and there was a garbage bag full of day-old donuts. We had a live goat in the back seat and a garbage bag of day-old donuts. Yeah. So we drive to this spot of land that my family owned, and we're going to eat goat and donuts and drink Jack Daniels. A bunch of wild boys, and I had an old 68 Ford truck parked up there, and for some reason we decided it'd be a good idea to play Dukes of Hazzard. Not jumping things with the car, but we was all going to get in that truck without opening the door. General Lee's about that high, that Ford's about that high. So the latch. I'm going to get in like Bo and Luke. We playing Bo and Luke Duke. We got a huge garbage bag of day-old donuts, we thought. And we got this goat. We kill the goat. We make us a big rotisserie thing. Get us a fire under it. And we seen the hog cooked that way. We're going to stick that goat on that rotisserie and turn it over every so often. We're sitting there drinking, and then it comes time, we eat goats, and we eat donuts, and we drink Jack Daniels, and the next memory I have is I am exploding at every end. Yeah. Throwing up number 2 at the same time. Now, I'm a different preacher. I tell it. I even think it's stuff coming out my ears. My dad finds one of my buddies, and it's about 7 miles. Dad comes to me and said, "You better go get your buddy so-and-so." And I'm like, and I'm sick. I'm naked. You can't throw up and do all that mess with your clothes on. See, God knows that if you get excessive in drinking, there's going to be some consequences. I'm sick and I'm what? I need to. Dad said, "Your buddy so-and-so is down there naked on your mommy's toilet. And if she finds him, she's going to kill all of you."
She's going to kill all of you.
Yeah. Well, come find out. I'm so sick. I can't get in there and get him out. And Dad then notices that nice 68 Ford truck is now bent and scratched, and the lining of the roof is ripped out of it. And he said, "You all wreck that truck?" And I'm like, "We was playing Bo and Luke." We didn't jump no hollers. We was jumping in the truck. Well, we got all my buddies headed home, and they all sick. Bad. I mean, I'm seeing things at times. I'm not a good drunk. I mean, I'm actually, there's moments that I'm seeing these big old birds and things, and I know they ain't there. Dad's telling me, he knows I'm sick, but we're going to clean that truck up and clean that property up right now. You all got whiskey bottles busted everywhere and ashes. And he said, "What'd you build that big fire for?" And we get up there. "And what did you kill over here?" We built a rotisserie and never got the goat to it. We eat raw goat. Yeah, we thought we had it on the fire, but it was 4 foot from the fire. You want to know why we was sick? Oh, and what's in that big bag? And Dad opened it up. Them wasn't day-old donuts. Them things had hair on them, and when you open the bag, the donuts, it felt like they go, "Hey!" Yeah, anything that hairy. I know it. We played Bo and Luke. We drunk Jack Daniels. We eat a raw goat. It looked like buzzers had been there. They wouldn't lift the bone. And we eat fuzzy, weak old donuts. Food poisoned every one of us.
Oh my God!
So no, I'm not preaching that you should drink. But I will tell you that Jesus made that wine. It was wine.
That's right.
With grape juice. And the reason he did that is he smelled those sinners.
Yes. Yeah.
He went to them and got them.
Yeah.
But he had power. He knew how to get provision. We're going to have provision to do this.
That's right.
That's it.
It's going to cost. I got a lot of thoughts and ideas, but it's going to take money to do them.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then once I get the money, I better have some power.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna put it on every avenue and all over the earth. Jesus had provision and power. That's why he could go to them people that can't reach their destiny,
That's
That's
it.
right.
That's
Yes.
it.
Amen.
that can't grasp
That's it.
that God loves them.
That's it.
If you've got provision and power, you can set them people free.
Yes.
Everybody
Yes.
stand.
Glory to God.
Yes. Amen.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Lord, I pray for this congregation here locally. And I pray for the Facebook Live crowd. If you are out there today and you can't reach God like everybody else in your family, if you can't understand and grasp the Word like everybody else in your household, and if you are weak and not strong enough, today's your day.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Lord.
Lord, make this word come alive in everybody's heart. Make us a people that knows how to follow you to our provision, and we know how to ignore the naysayers, and we know how to set those that are weak and not strong and can't reach and can't grasp. Make us people that knows how to set the weak free.
Thank you, Father.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus.
In Jesus' name.
Hallelujah.
We are going to start the Friday night faith fight.
Yes.
Be at 7 o'clock. Those that's been around and been here has heard me. This ain't something I just decided today. I don't do that. I know His voice. But I've learned something about God. If He's wanting you to do something, He's persistent.
Amen. That's right.
If you're listening, He don't hush.
Yeah.
He'll tell you to do it. He'll tell you to do it. He'll tell you to do it. Well, He's told me to add a service.
Yes.
It's odd, but I'm expecting everything we do at New Beginnings to be odd and different.
Yes.
If we want to do what nobody else has done in this community
Yes.
and this city, we're going to do things different than
Yes.
they do.
Amen.
Yes.
That's right.
So I'm inviting you that should be in your home church today. If you want to come Friday nights.
Yes.
We're going to teach, preach, and as a corporate body demonstrate faith.
Thank you, Lord.
Praise God.
Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah.
I'll plug them in. And we also have CDs of this service. A lot of people are liking them. It's one of the strongest things I believe in. If you want a CD copy of any service we have, message me.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't comment on it. I ask people all the time to message me, and they'll put it in the comment section. I don't want the whole world seeing. You message me if you want one, and I'll tell you how to get them.
Yes.
And I've come up with a new thing for the body. I'm not the stuffy pastor that thinks you all got to be here every Sunday. I'm the pastor that will tell you, if you got family and they got needs, you better not be here.
Yes.
You better go take care of your family.
That's right.
Yes.
Amen.
But I've got a new thing. If you miss, I'm requiring you to get the CD of the service you
There you
missed.
There you go.
There you go.
Yep. No, I got that from God.
There you go.
It's a requirement.
There you go.
Miss, go take care of that baby. Go save that house. If you need a break to just get away and get quiet, I'm not telling you. You have to be here every time. No, but I am telling you, when you miss, you've got to get the CD.
Yes. Yes.
How's that sound?
That's good. That's good.
Thank you all.
That's good.
I love you. Thank you for letting me preach and minister to you like this. It's an honor. This is the greatest ride. I've been preaching since '94, I was ordained, preaching since '92. God talks to me easier right now. All I do is go in that little room, and He starts saying stuff to me like, "Your right hand means power."
Praise
He can't read, and he did. He used them tapes and videos in there. He can't reach them tapes like you can. So this has been wonderful
Thank
for
you,
me.
Lord.
But you all ain't seen nothing yet.
Yes.
Praise
God.
That's right.
Amen.
We're going to demonstrate Jesus, and that's part of what this faith thing's about. Everybody thinks they understand faith enough, but faith is something you got to feed it, and
Yes.
feed it, and
Yes.
feed it, and feed it. Faith comes by hearing and hearing,
Yes.
not having heard. We're going to hear, but we're going to do something.
Yes.
I'm going to let God lead me to where we as a corporate body hear about faith on Fridays, but then we as a group use our faith on Fridays just on purpose.
Yes. Amen.
Thank you all in Jesus' name. Be blessed. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I never on earth thought I'd tell